really think through what could happen and where things could derail. Definitely having these plans, this day one plan, what happens, do you walk the floor, do you get out there, do you squelch the rumor mill, what happens 90 days from now, 180 days from now, a year from now, how is that going to be reinforced as well, so that behaviors that you do put into place become habit and not just something where they've been on their best behavior for a short period of time and then it starts to just fall apart.
It takes a lot of vigilance. I do want to open up the floor for a couple questions before we run out of time.
I would like to ask, because some of you have talked about the kind of an assessment process. What does that assessment process look like? Maybe Mark, Troy, if you guys could take an opportunity to address that.
Well, what we've developed is a twofold assessment process. What we do is the traditional purchase order to invoice, dissecting it out, performance data we take, we understand we find gaps within that performance data. We actually go and then understand the procedures and processes of the procedures of a business if they're using them. That's phase one, and in conjunction with that, the cultural side, we actually develop cultural graphs based on some proprietary questionnaires that we have. We have an alignment. We actually have a graph that will do, I call it an indictment on the CEO. It actually tells us, is that organization aligned or not aligned strategically and from an objective standpoint. Then we go right to the shop floor. If it's a manufacturing or service, however it may be, we actually follow people and understand what they really do, because they do take another survey that we have. They say that the greatest thing since sliced bread, and then when you actually find out when you're really out there, these two don't match. And then when we're done with melting the culture and the process gaps that we find, we'll build what we call a future state roadmap. And that roadmap is a 100-day plan for what I call for the PE folks, and it's a roadmap for the corporate people that I talk to that will allow you to now have deliverables and be able to drive actually the 180 days or whatever it may be activities. So it's a tool within 2 weeks for most companies. Some of the very small companies, 1 week, we can go through an entire company and come up with a future state roadmap for that. And that's for any industry. It's for the pre-acquisition, post-acquisition, and there's a lot of training that goes along with that and so forth.
Well, and Mark, I want to just reinforce one of the points that you had made. I think that we do a lot the same thing, but one of the keys to that is you give the exact same survey to the executive team, to a segment of people in the middle, and to some of the people on the front line. And you look at not just how are they filling out the survey, but what's the disconnect in the perception from those different segments. And that, a lot of times, the gap in perception is more enlightening than the way they actually answer the survey.
3,000%, because actually we look at the graphs and say, oh my God, we got an issue here. Right.
And I think you have to look too where people are explaining things away. Going back to that organization where there wasn't trust and there's very siloed organization, and the CEO said, very frustrated about not ever making the best places to work list. And he said, I should just stop asking them because they always give me like a 1 or a 2 out of 10. But what do they know?
Not important.
He said, I am. Yeah, it's not